Imagine arriving at Trinidad or Miami and discovering you suddenly need a special travel permit to visit your homeland, Guyana. That's the reality now for many. New travel rules announced in 2025 have rocked families, businesses, and students, and left citizens scrambling to stay compliant. Why did Guyana change the game? Was it about national security, regional diplomacy, or political leverage? You don't. In this video, we dive into the details. What the rules really say, how they'll affect you, and what it tells us about Guyana's changing role in the Caribbean and beyond. It's more than hoops and documents. It's a sign that borders are changing. Stick around because by the end you'll know exactly what to do and what's at stake if you don't. Guyana, once on the periphery of Caribbean and South American travel dynamics, is now rewriting the rules. Following regional immigration reforms in January 2025, President Irfan Ali signed a new movement policy that fundamentally alters entry and exit procedures for all travelers. The policy requires mandatory pre-arrival digital travel authorization, even for visitors from neighboring CARICOM nations, something previously unnecessary.
15 mind-blowing
Guyana
facts
is positioning the
Guyana.
shift as part
Guyana
of
might
national
sound
security
unfamiliar,
modernization,
but it's truly
pointing to rising drug trafficking, surging intra-regional migration, and challenges tied to the recent oil boom. With Venezuelan border pressure and economic strain, officials argue this is about managing risk and protecting sovereignty. At the same time, some analysts see political dimensions, deepening alliances with U.S. and Western partners while quietly distancing from non-aligned actors. For diaspora members and tourists alike, this is no ordinary regulation. It's a strategic realignment. Later sections break down the rule, enforcement realities, and what it means for Guyana's diplomacy in 2025. The new regulations unfold across 5 key requirements. Pre-arrival travel authorization. Every visitor entering Guyana must secure a digital permit via a government portal 72 hours before travel. The permit includes basic vetting, criminal history, travel intent, and biometrics. Visa adjustments for CARICOM states. Nationals from CARICOM countries, long considered visa-free, now need a pre-approved entry permit, though typical visa costs are waived. Mandatory biometric registration at entry. All visitors must provide fingerprints and facial scans upon arrival. These records are entered into a national security database linked to Caribbean migration systems. Repatriation cooperation rules. Countries failing to comply with deportee repatriation timelines may see their citizens denied entry until they meet Guyana's new standards. E-passport or approved document only. Guyana now only accepts digital passport scans or authorized Caribbean e-documents, no outdated laminated or handwritten passports. According to officials, the goal is to modernize travel systems, streamline identification, and elevate border security standards to match neighbors like Barbados and Trinidad. But critics argue that enforcement gaps remain, and the online permit system has already crashed under demand, delaying last-minute travel. Families, students, and returning Guyanese must now navigate bureaucratic red tape they never knew existed. Even trusted regional corridor travel is no longer smooth. The new policy is already opposed in Parliament by NGOs, human rights groups, and diaspora representatives, including Guyanese organizations in Canada and the US, who warn of systemic bias and accessibility issues. Lives are being disrupted. Take Claya, a nursing student in Trinidad traveling home for surgery. She applied for a permit just 2 days before departure and found the system down. She was rerouted through Barbados and stranded overnight. Then there's Kevin, a Guyanese-American touring Guyana for the summer. The biometric station at Chedijagan Airport malfunctioned, and he was held for hours pending human intervention on manual override. Tour operators report abandoned bookings as clients cancel or postpone out of confusion. Cross-border trade between Guyana and Suriname is under strain as informal shuttles now must account for digital permits, even for farmers and vendors. Educators and exchange students have received warnings that visa invalidation or refusal may happen if the digital system flags discrepancies, even if minor details like name spellings vary between documents. Compounding worries. Not all embassies in the US or Canada have live portals to assist with appeals, leaving travelers stranded without support. Human rights advocates also warn that record-keeping of biometrics could compromise suspects wrongly accused or lead to future political misuse. Critics have cited potential violations of data privacy, especially as Guyana hasn't enacted a comprehensive national data protection law yet. So while the policy aims to bring modern procedures to match fast-growing oil revenues, enforcement has introduced delays, uncertainty, and frustration for thousands. The government insists it's necessary modernization. Home Affairs Minister Amna Ali stated, "We can no longer conduct business as usual. Guyana is evolving fast, and so must our border controls. The digital permits and biometric system help us monitor migration trends and coordinate with regional partners." Presidential spokesperson attributes the policy to international obligations. Guyana has signed new agreements with the U.S. Homeland Security and Interpol to bolster deportation frameworks and track regional security threats. Security officials highlight two risks: drug trafficking routes along the Venezuelan border and dock-absent travelers moving in via sea launches attempting overnight stays in Georgetown or remote towns. They claim the prior system, sometimes paper-based, was vulnerable, and the new digital portal allows for immediate entry denials if red flags trigger. They also emphasize that most CARICOM nationals are entering without hassles, citing submission rate exceeding 80% in the pilot rollout. Despite disagreement, officials assert that this is about protecting citizens, not punishment. Why is Guyana making this shift now? Several strategic pressures provide clues. First, the country's hydrocarbon boom. Guyana's offshore reserves have generated massive foreign investments, particularly from U.S. oil companies. By tightening travel and repatriation rules, Georgetown reinforces its emerging sovereignty and shows it controls its border, even to Washington. Second, geopolitics of influence. Guyana has close ties with Venezuela and now cooperates more openly with Chinese and Indian firms in infrastructure and agriculture. This broader outreach may be making Washington uneasy, especially when new immigration frameworks reduce U.S. leverage. Third, regional security coordination. Guyana ranks among top contributors to the Caribbean Migration Network and coordinates intelligence sharing with Barbados and Jamaica. The new travel rules align with a broader CARICOM push toward unified digital borders and shared security infrastructure. Finally, diplomatic signaling. By launching the permit system publicly and emphasizing CARICOM compliance, Guyana portrays itself as a leader, not a follower, in regional governance. The message: the country does not need to defer to U.S. instruction to modernize. It's also a test case. Should the system perform smoothly, other nations may follow, weakening unilateral U.S. procedures and shifting the balance in regional travel autonomy. Digitizing migration comes with controversy. Critics warn that biometric data capture without robust data protections or clear legal recourse opens up risks of misidentification, unintentional discrimination, and lack of consent transparency. Some fear the system could flag political dissidents, journalists, or activists who may be tracked without recourse to appeal. Human Rights Caribbean issued a statement. Without a comprehensive Data Protection Act, Guyanese citizens and visitors have no guaranteed safeguards. Critics warn that biometric data capture without robust data protections or clear legal recourse opens up risks of misidentification, unintentional discrimination, and lack of consent transparency. Some fear the system could flag political dissidents, journalists, or activists who may be tracked without recourse to appeal. Human rights. Caribbean issued a statement. Without a comprehensive Data Protection Act, Guyanese citizens and visitors have no guaranteed safeguards. Legal professionals point out that nationality discrepancies or clerical errors in permits could lead to wrongful denial of entry or future bans, especially with low recourse options. Regional experts worry about cross-border data sharing agreements. While cooperation with other countries is necessary, these deals lack strong privacy clauses. Once signed, biometric and travel logs could be stored overseas or shared with third parties, raising espionage concerns. On the flip side, defenders note that many nations already gather such data. If oversight frameworks are strengthened and documentation made transparent, it could enable safer travel without rights compromise. The fate of this system may hinge on whether the promised Data Privacy Act, pledged by the government, arrives in Parliament swiftly and with enforceable protections. Guyana's system could quickly become a regional standard. CARICOM has scheduled a task force meeting for mid-2025 to harmonize border tech standards. A successful rollout may also shift diaspora travel habits. Some Guyanese American travelers have expressed willingness to pre-register, while others now seek alternative routes through Barbados or Canada. Critically, U.S. travel agencies and airline alliances may adopt streamlined permit notices, marking a shift in travel protocols within the region. This shift also complicates U.S. rescue and aid operations. In emergencies, like hurricanes, it's unclear how quickly the system can generate waivers or humanitarian exemptions for Cayman or Jamaican nationals. If Guyana's digital permit system stands, it could serve as a blueprint for migrating global travel into Caribbean tech-first corridors. Guyana's new travel rules mark a bold shift toward national control and modern border management. If successful, it could become a regional model for digital entry and migration policy. But if poorly handled, it risks confusion, backlash, and rights concerns. The real question, is this smart governance or overreach? On the other hand, if seen as heavy-handed or opaque, the policy may become a liability, encouraging visa shopping or cross-border avoidance. Politically, there's a risk. If actual blacklisted cases rise, diaspora groups in the US and Canada may pursue litigation, and international rights organizations could question the policy's legality. For now, Guyana holds the initiative. Its authority to shape its travel ecosystem is a signal to superpowers. You don't need to dictate terms. You can be joined on equals. This is more than policy. It's diplomacy, and it will set the tone for Caribbean autonomy in 2025 and beyond. Guyana's new travel rules mark a bold shift toward national control and modern border management. If successful, it could become a regional model for digital entry and migration policy. But if poorly handled, it risks confusion, backlash, and rights concerns. Your opinion matters. Was Guyana right to tighten the rules? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more clear, independent reporting on global shifts that impact real people, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because in 2025, travel isn't just movement, it's diplomacy in motion.